Title: A Date to Remember. Mandy and Tommy's unforgettable New York adventure. The setup. 2 years ago, Mandy and Tommy met in the digital landscape of a dating app. Both had ticked off all the right boxes on each other's profiles: European heritage, love of culture, and a shared dream to travel to New York. Their online connection blossomed into late-night chats, exchanging photos and deep conversations. Mandy, a soft-spoken and mild-mannered 32-year-old, was drawn to Tommy's outgoing, fun-loving nature. At 40, Tommy seemed worldly and adventurous, someone who could bring laughter and excitement into her structured life. They had both shared one photo, and while it was a bit grainy and small, each felt they got a good sense of the other's appearance. Mandy's photo, a headshot at a friend's wedding, was straightforward enough. Tommy's photo showed him with dark hair and a big, bright smile. He seemed tall, confident, and comfortably European, just as he described. Finally, after 2 years of virtual communication, they planned to meet in person in New York City. Their dream date was set, meeting at the majestic Schwartzman Building of the New York Public Library, one of Manhattan's iconic landmarks, followed by a Broadway show and a dinner at Gallagher's Steakhouse. Everything was in place for a magical day. The big reveal. As Mandy walked toward the library entrance on the big day, she felt a rush of nerves. Standing outside, she glanced around, trying to spot Tommy among the bustling crowd. Her eyes fell on a tall figure wearing a bright red scarf, holding a leash attached to a dog. The man had the same warm smile she remembered from his profile picture, but as he turned toward her, Mandy felt her stomach drop. This man was of Asian descent, not European, and there was another twist. He wore dark sunglasses and held a white cane. In a mixture of disbelief and nervous laughter, she noticed that not only was he blind, but that his dog, Benji, was also blind, wearing a tiny blindfold that read, "Seeing Eye Dog in Training." Before Mandy could process what she was seeing, Tommy recognized her voice. "Mandy, finally we meet," he exclaimed, stepping forward, his arms outstretched. Tommy's excitement was palpable, and his charm disarmed her initial shock. After a moment's hesitation, Mandy embraced him and managed a slightly shaky smile. It was, to say the least, not what she had expected. The drive and the mystery of Benji. Once they exchanged greetings and got through the initial awkwardness, Mandy couldn't resist asking the obvious. "So, how did you get here?" she asked, glancing down at Benji, who seemed as calm as could be under his blindfold. "Oh, I drove here," Tommy said nonchalantly, sensing no irony. "Well, not exactly drove. I had some help. Benji and I work as a team. You know, I have pretty good instincts for direction. And Benji's got his own unique style of navigating," he added with a wink. Mandy stifled a laugh, unsure if she should be impressed, horrified, or both. Benji, the blind, easygoing mixed-breed dog, sat stoically at Tommy's side, seemingly unfazed by his unusual responsibilities. "Tommy," she started carefully, "you never mention that you're blind." Tommy chuckled in his usual easygoing way. "I guess I'm a man of mystery, but hey, it keeps things interesting, right?" His optimism was both baffling and endearing. Mandy found herself swept along by his confidence, despite the bewildering surprises. A day of half-truths and unexpected joys. The rest of the day unfolded in true Tommy style. As they walked through the library, he regaled her with half-true stories about his supposed family origins in Europe and his studies in Renaissance art. Each story was tinged with humor and little clues that perhaps his truth wasn't quite as he'd painted it. Mandy, half amused and half skeptical, found herself charmed by his storytelling. Their next stop was a Broadway show. Tommy had somehow managed to secure orchestra-level seats. With the help of an audio description device, he laughed at all the right moments, immersing himself fully in the experience. His excitement was infectious, and despite her initial shock, Mandy found herself genuinely enjoying his company. By the time they reached Gallagher's Steakhouse for dinner, Mandy was fully caught up in the whirlwind of Tommy's charm. He ordered with the flair of a food critic, sharing insider knowledge of New York's steak scene as if he were a regular. As the steaks arrived, Tommy leaned in with a conspiratorial smile. "You know," he whispered, "I think Benji has been eyeing your steak all evening." Mandy laughed, a genuine laugh that dissolved the last of her reservations. She looked down at Benji, who was indeed eyeing her steak, or at least facing in its general direction, with a calm, almost wise expression. Mandy couldn't help but feel that, in his own way, Benji was in on the whole absurd adventure. The final surprise. After dinner, Tommy suggested one more stop, a rooftop overlooking the New York City skyline. As they took in the view, Tommy turned toward Mandy, his face uncharacteristically serious. "Look, Mandy, I know I didn't give you the whole picture when we met. Maybe I like to think of life as one big mystery novel with a few red herrings." Mandy, who had been half expecting another outrageous story, simply smiled. "Tommy, I think you're the most unpredictable person I've ever met, but somehow, this whole day, I wouldn't change a thing." Tommy grinned, his usual humor returning. "Does that mean I get a second date?" Mandy laughed. "Only if you promise to let me drive next time." Their day in New York was one Mandy would never forget. While Tommy's revelations had shocked her, his energy, charm, and honesty, once it finally came through, won her over. As for Benji, he took his well-deserved nap in the backseat as Tommy's co-pilot for the ride home, blindfold and all. Mandy returned to her world with stories she could barely believe herself, and perhaps more curiosity about what other mysteries life and Tommy might bring. The end.